This is Our View, brought to you by the proud members of the Washington Federation of State Employees, the people who serve you. AFLCIO President John Sweeney was recently in London to add the voice of workers to the G20 conference of world leaders on the economic crisis. While Mr. Sweeney's focus was on the world perspective, he has not lost sight of the fact that there are AFL-CIO members in Washington state providing the services to its citizens.
I really think that the public employees in the state of Washington are fortunate to have a great union like AFSCME with strong leadership and a rich success story in terms of representing public employees. The workers in the state of Washington are suffering like workers are in so many different industries around the world, and it is important that the sacrifices that they are making are kept to as few as possible. And it is important for the leadership to come up with the innovative programs and ideas that are going to save as many of these jobs. And then we have to worry about how we adapt to the changes that are going to take place in our economy, how we are going to provide the training and job development that is going to be so necessary. We're losing millions and millions of jobs in the United States, and many of them are in public employment. The average right now is about 600,000 a month. That's really a very sad situation, and it must be addressed. And public authorities have a responsibility to address those issues and to provide workers with solutions to these issues, and to provide innovative programs to help develop new jobs and additional jobs, and to protect public services which are so vital to our communities. And AFSCME knows this story so well and has dealt with similar problems in the past, and I'm sure we'll continue to deal with this, and in the end workers will recover, and hopefully we will get back on track with our economy.
The recent session of the state legislature, along with the governor's budget, posed a threat to the state's facilities for the developmentally disabled. A lot of effort by the families of residents of the care centers, advocates, and Federation members saved the day. But we're reminded the care-for-profit industry will not stop trying to shut down this valuable service to Washington families.
This is sort of a holding action. We dodged a bullet here with the Yakima Valley School. That's a skilled nursing facility in Selah, Washington. And it's home to about 88 long-term residents. And it's a place for crisis and respite for about a dozen people who live elsewhere, but come into Yakima Valley to give their caretakers a break or to get a crisis resolved. We need to be continually educating the legislators about these facilities. They're not commonly understood by the legislators or the public at large unless you have a family member or a friend or somebody connected to you in some way that's a resident of one of these facilities. You really, generally speaking, the population doesn't know anything or much about them. The movement to take these folks out of state care and put them into private care is dangerous for a number of reasons. One is that the staff situation with private care tends to be overly fluid. The staff turnover rate for private care vendors is very high. The staff turnover rate for state employees working at these facilities is very low. And it's important to have a stable workforce because these people are almost entirely nonverbal. And so if there's a problem that they have, Their way of communicating that problem is extraordinarily limited, and you have to be very familiar with these folks to understand the subtle forms of communication they have to indicate signs of distress. Private vendors contend they can do it cheaper, largely because they don't provide the same services that the state provides. For example, in private care, there is no medical care provided in that. Whereas in state care, there are doctors, nurses, psychologists, and various therapists on staff at the residential rehabilitation centers. You just don't find that with private folks.
The number of people needing help from food banks is going up. Responding to the call once again is the National Association of Letter Carriers. What started as a simple idea using a Saturday delivery day to also collect donated food has grown into a nationwide pickup of tons of food that is making a big difference.
The union has been doing this for 16 years. This is our 16th year. And the reason why we do it is to help the community, help those in need, and because we like it when we do it. Last year, just in the Seattle area, which is about 42 stations, we provided over 780,000 pounds of food. And this year we hope to get to at least 800,000. So that's what our goal is this year.
It's important for our union and the country right now because the food banks are so empty. And the union has been a strong supporter of this for over 16 years. Last year, in one day, we got 8.1 million pounds nationwide. This year, the need is much greater, and I don't see that the NALC or the post office will ever give this up because it's such a good cause. Corporate sponsors, they help. Campbell's gives millions of pounds of soup every year. And we have John L. Scott, which is our local sponsor, and they pay for all the bags, and all the little sponsors and big sponsors, we couldn't do it without them. And as you can see, the bags are important because it makes it so easy for the customers to give us the food. And we know tonight, when this is all over, no kid will go to bed hungry.
Yes.
Need to upgrade your computer skills to qualify for a job? Then you need to visit Worksource, where free classes are now available just for asking.
Microsoft has very graciously given the state of Washington 30,000 vouchers, and the program is called Elevate America. And it's been distributed through Worksource offices throughout the state to basically give out to interested individuals that are coming in that want to upgrade their computer skills. This is very, very exciting. Our office was given vouchers, and we've been giving them out to interested customers. You have to activate the voucher prior to July 31st of this year, and then you have a full year to use the voucher. And it's really for computer programs, so it's Outlook, it's Access, it's Publisher, it's Word, it's Excel, and you can update and practice and train and learn those programs, which is just great. What a huge thing to help people upgrade their skills. Because jobs now, pretty much every job you apply for, you need to have some type of computer skills. I would be really happy to take advantage of this if I could. It's just a great program. It's going to really offer people potential to update their skills. And it'd be just a wonderful thing. I encourage anybody and everybody to come in and give it a try and to ask for a voucher. There's an information sheet, and then you have to fill out a very simple one-page form and turn that into the office, and then you're issued a voucher from that simple form. You have to be a Washington State resident. That's really the requirement. But you've got a full year to use it once you activate it, so it's great.
A look at our union history, here's Ross Reeder.
Walking down the produce aisle of any supermarket with its bountiful displays of fresh fruits and vegetables, it is sad to think that the average shopper does not think about the farm workers who did most of the work involved in making those displays possible. Yet the majority of farm workers in California, Oregon, and Washington, as well as other agricultural states, continue to labor under terrible conditions. We've all heard the term agribusiness, a word that reflects the corporatization of the food industry. In California, 80% of the farmland is owned by just 7% of the growers. Among these are very large multinational corporations such as Purex, Dow Chemical, Tenneco, United Fruit, and Bank of America. Agricultural labor means backbreaking work, often literally. It also means very low wages, hard physical work, often with no breaks or rest periods. No toilets in the fields, exposure to pesticide poisoning, and a hiring system often based on favoritism and kickbacks. As far back as the 1930s, there were efforts to organize farm workers. The farm workers then were often poor farmers from the Dust Bowl who had lost their land and traveled to California in search of work. Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath and In Dubious Battle are novels about this subject. By the late 1950s, the agricultural workforce was more Filipino, Mexican, and black, but all began to work together to bring about needed change. Under the leader of Cesar Chavez, the first major action was taken in September 1965, a strike against grape growers in Delano, California. The growers tried to bust the union, the United Farm Workers, but the workers were united and determined. A successful boycott of grapes was organized in every major city. By 1970, 25% of consumers had stopped buying grapes. By July 70, 85% of grape growers in California had signed contracts with the UFW that guaranteed vast improvements in wages and working conditions. Since that historic achievement in 1970, the UFW has been involved in a continual struggle. A lettuce boycott was successful in gaining a contract. Other contracts have been signed. Even some success has occurred in the vineyards, fields, and warehouses of our own state. But the battle is far from over.
This has been Our View, brought to you by the members of the Washington Federation of State Employees. We remind you, when you accept a paycheck for your hard work, you don't give up your rights. Also, summer means more driving. Please pay extra attention so our highway maintenance workers can go home safely to their families after a day of work. Thank you for watching.